kicking for you like it's 9-3. You see, Rob impact the mic, keeping it real, G. Talk about relationships, money, and health. Dropping knowledge while I'm spitting it, that's a wealth.
Complex conversations, we break it down. Pop culture topics, we hold it down. Dive deep into society's complexities. Educate, entertain, never rest in it. Complex
Context, where the truth unfolds. Analyzing life through stories untold. Rob impact, dropping knowledge every day.
Unpacking life's complexities, one topic at a time. You're listening to Complex Context. Here is your host, Rob Impact.
Good day to the Complex crew, and welcome to another episode of Complex Context, where we do unpack life's complexities one topic at a time. I am your host, Rob Impact, and I'm happy to be here with you so we can catch up with each other, talk about life and all of the craziness, all of the good stuff, a little bit of everything in between. How have you been? I'm telling you, I can't wait to tell you about my week. It's really been a roller coaster of emotions, mostly for the good, but yeah, it's just been incredible. Super busy, super optimistic about what is ahead, and I wish the same for you and your family and friends. If you have any kind of feedback regarding past episodes, I encourage you to reach out to us. I'll give you that information in a little bit, but don't hesitate to reach out on social media, email, all of that. I'd like to give a lot of international love this week because we've had listeners that have just been flooding us with a lot of support, and it's very humbling. I'm very appreciative of it. Of course, big shout to everyone in the United States, especially New England area. We are broadcasting from Massachusetts all the time. And of course, when we talk about the global footprint of Complex Context, we're talking all different areas. So much love to the folks over in Victoria, Australia. Love going out to England. I hope to get to England before I get too old, so I'm very happy that we have support over there. A shout going out to all of the folks over in Hong Kong. Also, some love going out to the folks in South Korea. It's awesome to see that you're kind of checking us out, getting the feels and making sure that this is a show that's going to entertain you. Also, Malaysia, thank you. Nigeria, much love to you. Norway, I believe you are repeat, and we are very happy to see you come back for more entertainment. And also, last but not least, much love going out to the fine folks over in Portugal. We have really just been hitting our stride, and thank you so much for the support. We, again, appreciate that, and we hope that you don't hesitate to let us know that you're listening or reach out with an idea or a feedback. If you happen to be in the United States, this episode is dropping on Labor Day, so happy Labor Day weekend to everybody in the U.S., and I think that's kind of a cool thing to really kick it off with. There's nothing like a good holiday to kind of settle back and really take stock of your personal health and happiness. And sometimes we kind of forget, why do we have a holiday? What is the meaning of it? We like to say, oh, we have such and such a day. We're not going to be working, or there's going to be limited hours, limited business transactions, but nobody really knows what the meaning of certain holidays might be. So Labor Day in the United States, well, we have some information, thanks in part to the United States Department of Labor. According to them, Labor Day is observed always on the first Monday in September, and it's an annual celebration of the social and economic achievements of American workers. This day is rooted in the late 19th century when activists pushed for a federal holiday to recognize many contributions that workers have made to America and its strength, prosperity, well-being, all of that. It was recognized by activists and individual states initially, and ordinances were passed in 1885 and 1886, at which point a movement developed to secure state legislation. New York was the first to introduce a bill, but Oregon was the first to pass a law recognizing Labor Day in February of 1887. And then eventually, during 1887, 4 more states, Massachusetts, hooray, much love to the hometown, or I should say the home state of Complex Context, Colorado, New Jersey, and New York all passed laws creating a Labor Day holiday. And then by the end of the decade, more states got on board: Nebraska, Pennsylvania, Connecticut. And by 1894, 23 more states adopted the holiday. So finally, on June 28, 1894, Congress passed an act making the first Monday in September of each year the legal Labor Day holiday. So it really is a true celebration of everybody contributing to the foundation of America, operating for its well-being, its health, its essence of a country, and the strength and stability that has built it up to be a recognized and very significant part of this world's infrastructure and global footprint. So happy Labor Day to you, and please don't get it twisted. When we talk about this, Labor Day is different things to different people. I'm also giving a Labor Day shout to those who might not be in the corporate workplace. That doesn't mean that the mothers, the fathers, the babysitters, you are all part of Labor Day. You are helping to keep things running as well. So please, this is not anything to do with just business transactions, in my opinion. Labor Day extends far beyond that, and I want to wish everybody who has a part in keeping their day-to-day household and their family well engaged, well taken care of. Happy Labor Day to everybody. Now that we've provided a little bit of education, we're going to flip it to the other side and give you some ridiculous life advice.
Ridiculous life advice.
The only thing worse than brain fog is brain smog.
Ridiculous life advice.
I'm going to say it every time we do it. Ridiculous Life Advice is one of my favorite segments. It might not seem like a sensible thing to say, but I don't care. It tickles me. It really does. This past week especially has been a roller coaster of emotions for me. And somebody might be saying, oh man, is it more anxiety like you were talking about a few episodes ago? Well, a little bit, but it's situational and brought on by a particular event. Without trying to divulge too much, because obviously you want to keep some type of anonymity when you're doing something like this, I've been at my place of work for almost just shy of 21 years, and I'm still relatively young, even though I've reached a good, hopefully, fingers crossed, midpoint in my life. I really had a great opportunity to start young and work my way up in the field that I've been in and at the location I've been in, and I've seen such tremendous growth over the years, both in structure, in people, and in knowledge. And I've been really struggling the past couple of years in terms of having my satisfaction be at the level that I figure it should be and that I know it deserves to be. And that's not necessarily a commentary on where I've been so much as maybe just the point that I've reached at the place that I've been. And I've had very, very fulfilling opportunities and blessings to have this longevity, which is by no means taken for granted. It's not something that I find a lot of people still do these days, and especially because I'm not anywhere near my 50s yet to be able to say I have a couple decades down at one place. That just happened to work out that way. It wasn't a goal. It wasn't something where I came in and said, I figure I could set up shop here for quite some time. It just worked out that way. So after kind of mulling around my options for quite some time and seeing what's out there, and the landscape is kind of rough. There is no surprise there. I've talked about it on this show before. The job market is very volatile. It's kind of an up and down thing. I think there's a lot of ironing out of details, and really the necessity for the American workforce to be able to have achievable, realistic job opportunities out there. So be that as it may, I had a heck of an opportunity that came across my eyes, and I said, this seems really good. I'm very intrigued by it. And I think with the experience that I've developed in my professional career over the years, I could really contribute. So I said, let's do it. Let's try and put my name out there and see where it goes. And it was a very different process than what I've been used to because, again, it's been over 20 years since I've had to go through an inquiry and subsequent follow-up on wanting to be a part of an organization. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. Boy, I found out very quickly it is very different these days. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. Again, I haven't been in that situation for a long time. So I guess the new norm is a lot more thorough than what it used to be when I started where I've been. So it was multiple rounds of various interviews and having the opportunity to talk about myself, listen to the people that are at this other organization and what their mission is and who they're looking for and what they're hoping for with a new person coming in. And I was very impressed and very just, I guess, refreshed to be able to hear a lot of what I heard, eventually see a little small snippet of what I could expect for my working environment, because it will be multiple environments. By that I mean I will be traveling around to a bunch of different sites, which I think is awesome. But yeah, after quite a few weeks of phone and then an online and then an in-person interview and providing credentials, background checks, I was provided an official offer letter earlier in the week. And I was just thrilled and felt so accomplished because I've been keeping my eye out on opportunities, like I've said, for a couple of years now. I've been slowly approaching the premise that I felt as though I've kind of reached the heights and I was ready for a new challenge. Not just a challenge, because you can kind of concoct certain goals that you want to achieve, and that's fine. But a challenge in terms of something new, something that would provide a new level of not just professional but personal fulfillment. And this particular organization seemed like they would be the fantastic fit to accomplish that, while allowing me to help them accomplish really good things for the clientele that comes in and needs to have a good experience. I don't even say wants to. For this particular organization, their clientele needs to have good experiences because it falls in line with their day-to-day health and longevity and peace of mind in how they're doing. I know I'm being a little cryptic here. I don't want to give too much out because I think it's in the interest of fairness to both my current employer and future employer to keep it at that and no more. But it was really a bittersweet time in composing my letter of notice, because I've had, as I've mentioned to a few people, so much growth over a 20-year period. I've met my wife. We've had our daughter. I've lost a parent. I ended up moving to the place where I have lived the longest period of time in my life and still live there. I couldn't even tell you what other life events. I've lost grandparents and an uncle. Goodness, I couldn't even tell you what else happened. Gained a lot of personal education, self-sought along the way, and kind of upped my game there. It's really just been an awesome experience, an awesome just living of life through the good, the bad, the easy, the difficult. This particular organization that I've been at for over 20 years, it's been a standard, but it was really difficult and, yes, anxiety-inducing to have my laptop in front of me and say, this is it. I'm composing my notice that is going to end this run. I have no regret in doing so, and I want to make that clear. What I'm saying is it could be a combination. I'm thinking of both the fact that I haven't had to do something like this in that amount of time, in a few decades, but also I've had to be the one to put the period at the end of this sentence saying, my time is up here. And it's absolutely worth it. But again, it's bittersweet. There's been so much growth and so many life experiences intertwined with all of the professional opportunities and the willingness to have me still come in day to day and contribute at this particular place. It's very much been appreciated and a blessing. It's helped feed me, my family, and make me feel as though I have value beyond probably what I would have ever deemed valuable just on my own. All in all, it was one of the most difficult situations that I put myself in that I did not anticipate to be as difficult. And there's no regrets. No regrets. I am thrilled to be moving along and really testing myself, my capabilities, and my willingness to use my professional experiences and help a new organization be just as solid, if not even more solid than what they are. So I'm extremely grateful on both fronts. Grateful for where I'm leaving, grateful for where I'm going to. I'm so excited to meet the folks beyond who I've already met at my new place of work, as well as eventually get that routine established. I know there's quite a bit of details to iron out, so I wouldn't expect any kind of regularity with my day-to-day initially. I will put out there for those who may find themselves in that situation, regardless of if you have a similarly long tenure or not, it can be an extremely stressful situation to be in. Whether or not it's one that you've decided to be a part of and participate and make a transition to something else, or something that unwillingly you're just faced with, yeah, it's just a heck of an experience. One that really takes a toll emotionally and physically. Like I said, it did cause some anxiety-induced moments, and I had probably just as much trouble the day after I provided my notice as the day where leading up to giving that notice formally. And I figured once I provided it, okay, things will be off my shoulders. I'll feel better. All the stress that I've kind of built up in having to deliver this news will go away. And it did initially, once I did provide that notice on that first day. But when I came back for the next day, I felt just as stressed. And I'm not too sure why that was. There were moments where I didn't know if I was going to be facing a full-blown panic attack. Thankfully, my wife was available. I gave her a quick call, had probably a 5-minute chat with her, and I did better for the rest of the day. But it was just very odd to find myself in that, and she made a really good point, and I want to share that with you. She said, you've been open to such a transition for so long now that you may be experiencing the come down. And I never thought about that. You don't really expect, after kind of having your toe dipped in the water for a couple years and saying, hey, I wonder if there is a next move that is available to me and feels like a right move. I never really took that into consideration, that once the notice was provided to my current employer, that there is a bit of a come down, because just being able to have this opportunity procured and given to me by my new employer, that I guess in itself is an accomplishment, and not one that I really took stock of. I didn't recognize it as such. The offer, yes, absolutely. The willingness for my new employer to say we would absolutely, based off of what you can bring to us both professionally and personally, yes, of course, I recognize that as a huge accomplishment in being able to have them recognize value and say we would like to have that on our team. But I didn't recognize the value of having that come to fruition and now not having to dip my toe in the water anymore, as far as what is that next step, if there is one. It was very trying on my emotions, and I would like to think over the next couple weeks, of course, I'm still going to have those moments, but I've been told by one of my current colleagues, and she knows who she is. I don't think she's aware of the show, but she really had a fantastic chat with me yesterday and put perspective on it and agreed with me that there really is no perfect time to make this kind of a choice. You can't look at the calendar. There's no golden day that sticks out. If you're going to do it, you have to do it. And it was refreshing that she said, I don't expect it to be easy. And she detailed her own experiences with being somewhere for probably longer than what I've been at my current place. I think she said like 25 plus years somewhere, and having to leave that, and that it was difficult. And it really is. I want to know that in going forward, everything is going to work out. Things are, I've been told many times that the big man above isn't going to give you more than what you can handle. And there's probably been a reason why it's taken quite a bit to find an opportunity that really matched up to my own personal and professional ethics and how I want to contribute. So for anybody going through that, please understand it unfortunately, and this is where we get back to kind of on a national level, it's really a hustle. It's a hustle to see what opportunities there are out there. But holy cow, just off and on for a couple of years, it's finally paid off. It's finally shown what the end result is going to be. And I'm so thrilled for that. I'm thrilled for me. I'm thrilled for my new place of employment, because I think from what I've seen and heard and talked about, this feels like it's going to be a really good opportunity for me to dig my hands in. And I would hope that I'm just as good of a fit employee-wise and personality-wise as anybody who's been there. And for the exiting employer, I'm just so grateful. So grateful. And as I've already expressed during giving my notice, it hasn't been easy. And I don't anticipate to be completely stress-free over the next couple weeks in continuing the exit and the details behind trying to transition out of it. But it's just what has to be done. It's what's good for me. It's what's good for, I think, my professional life. And I'm hopeful that it's extremely beneficial for both places. My exit from one, my entry to another. So anybody going through that, the job hunt, the having to transition from one to another, feel free to reach out. Let me know. Have you had that kind of bittersweet transition and opportunity where you're leaving one place, going to another, and it's a place that you've been at for a while? You can reach out to us by email. We are at complexcontactshow@yahoo.com. You can also reach out on social media, facebook.com/complexcontext1, and on X, we are at complexcontext1. As a reminder, we are on over 11 different platforms, and YouTube is one of them. You can have our logo on your screen while you listen to our show. All the shows are available in the archive, and we are on all kinds of the big boys. I'm talking iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Spotify, and if you want the entire list of all 11, one of those 11 happens to be our hosting partner and distributor, who are awesome, Podbean. If you haven't checked out the Podbean app, give it a shot. I love it. I think it's fantastic. It happens to be where our official homepage is at. They host it. We love it. It's at complexcontext.podbean.com. And now we're going to get further with our education than what we've already had today through lessons from the Urban Dictionary.
Yo, it's time for the lessons. Urban words and the essence. Straight from the streets, no guessing. We'll break it down, no stressing. Stacks on stacks and drip too. What's the lingo? Yeah, what's new? From frontin' to keeping it true, we got the vocab for you. Urban Dictionary style. Learning the words makes us smile.
Lessons from the Urban Dictionary is where we learn either a word or a phrase, past or present, which has been used enough to make its way to the Urban Dictionary. Our first step is using a random letter generator to pick a letter for us, which in this episode, it happened to pick the letter P. And then we randomly select either the word or phrase which starts with that letter, and randomly we came up with the phrase power text. Now, what is power text? It is to repeatedly text another person in an effort to get their attention immediately, often about something minor or unimportant to everyone but the person power texting, similar to a phrase called power calling. Your example, Rick says, "Hey man, what's up?" And then Rick again says, "Dude, what's up?" And then Rick again says, "Bro, what are you doing? You busy? Call me when you can." And then his friend James says, "Damn, dude, I was in a meeting. What's going on?" Then Rick says, "I was trying to see if you wanted to play Frisbee." His friend James responds, "Dude, don't power text me anymore." I know a few people that have done that, and I get it when it's kind of in an urgent or an emergent situation, but not for something like that. And the people that I know who do that usually do it for those kinds of crazy, silly reasons. So power text. If you want to be a good friend, try not to power text unnecessarily, all right? I started my Labor Day weekend with an early morning trip to Boston because I found a couple of turntables that somebody was selling unbelievably cheap that they didn't need anymore, and they were in the middle of moving. And I believe they attend one of the colleges up in the area. When I got to the destination, I just saw the whole street worth of people moving stuff in and out, and I was like, oh wow, this is really like beginning of school season. But I met up with the guy, and he was really cool, and I have to say it was just not only a good experience with him and obtaining the product, but he happened to be located in an area where I spent so much time in my late teens and early 20s hanging around Boston, going up there to meet up with particular people and to hop on the T, which is short for MBTA, our local public transportation system. And it really brought me into the heart of the general area where I spent a lot of that time. I took a lot of pictures. I made the effort to park on the side. I couldn't believe I found a spot and just walk a little bit, take some of those snaps, a little bit of video, and reminisce. And it felt so good to drive on the streets in the same fashion that I did when I was like 17, 18. It felt awesome. And I'm so glad that not only did I end up with a couple of turntables that I just got to do some minor cleaning, and finally I can get my vinyl back out, do some mixing, because long story short, the turntables that I've had, pitch control went. They don't make the parts to replace it anymore. It would be probably more costly to fix the pitch control if you search for aftermarket parts than to just buy new turntables. But this particular gentleman, he was awesome. I think he was in the process of moving out to, I would guess, his next apartment that will be facilitated by wherever he attends. So he was awesome. I want to thank him for his time. Super cool to chat with him a little bit. I think he was really happy and relieved to know that he had a solid person meeting up with him and wasn't somebody who was trying to short him money or dangle the carrot, so to speak. He got a solid transaction. I got a solid transaction. But having that experience amongst familiar territory, boy, that felt good. That really did. The weather was perfect. I had all kinds of buses and trains go by. Being able to see the massive amounts of construction that have happened in those neighborhoods since I used to regularly go to them. I've seen bits and pieces over the years because my visiting that area has been sporadic at best. But knowing that everything went so smoothly and was so timely, I said, I'm going to take a few minutes for myself and, like I said, get some pictures, get some video, and kind of archive my time up here. It felt really, really good. It was almost like a gift by itself, in line with everything that's been going on in terms of my job transition and recent anxiety struggles. This was just a comforting moment with the familiarity of being up there for a purpose, but also having that just coincidentally be in such a comforting, familiar, area that, like I said, boy, 17, 18, so I'll say 18 with probably regularity, 18. I started at 17 before I was meeting up with people there, but we'll say 18. So that was, 20, Lordy, I don't even know. How old am I now? See, this is what you have to look forward to, kids. You have to figure out now, how old am I now? And how old was I then? It's at least 22 years that comes to mind. I don't know. That's the best my brain's going to do. But, having that amount of time pass between really making certain neighborhoods a regular spot, a regular part of your life, and being able to go back there with different purpose, it's funny. It makes me smile because I think of the hijinks and not only the good times, but probably some of the mischief that I got into that I wouldn't even give a thought to these days. But yeah, man, it was awesome. And you've been awesome. And this episode has been awesome. And I hope you agree. Don't hesitate to leave a review, like and subscribe. Again, the place where everything is at, all things Complex Context, is our homepage. Thank you, Podbean, for hosting it. It's complexcontext.podbean.com. Again, we're on all the big platforms. Share with your friends, your family. We would love to expand our audience. And don't hesitate to reach out over email or social media. I hope your week is a good one. My fingers are crossed in making sure that this week is no less excellent for me than it should be for you. I'm Rob Impact. Do what you do it often, do it well. Just don't do anything I wouldn't do, and you'll be doing all right. I'll catch up with you.
Visit the show's website at complexcontext.podbean.com. Complex Context is a Mass Ed Media production.